How closely do you think it follows your life?
Oh, quite a lot. Yeah, no, quite a lot.
Quite a lot.
Actually, it's quite nice. Lily was reading it the other day, and she's going, "So did that actually happen? Did that actually happen?"
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of it is. I mean, obviously, what I'm doing with the books I'm picking the settings that almost I can see it, and there are experiences, and there's characters that I can think of that, like particularly in the theatre. I mean, obviously, I think I'm portraying mum and dad. Mum comes into the next book more pretty much as our relationships were,
Yeah.
and it was all very much a working environment, and that's what they did, and I genuinely loved it, and and the pattern of it all is, but obviously I'm taking it a little bit into fiction with the story and the tale that happens, so but there are a lot of it, like I talk about the horses backstage. There were horses, there were always scenarios.
That's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of those things were true, so that, as in, I remember those things. So lots of the life backstage, and animals and children, and how that all works, and the pattern. So it is very much, the setting is how I remember, and I wanted to portray that. It's actually, it was as an adult and now as a mum, you really appreciate that growing up, and whereas at the time I enjoyed it. I didn't not love any of it, but it was, you don't appreciate it.
No, you take it for granted.
Yeah, sort of, that's what we did, and and I've so that there was lots of. I mean, to be honest, I could think. So I've got 6 books. This is a series of 6.
Yeah.
And there were lots that I could choose from. Lots of settings. So I've got things like, one is set. The next one is set. The next one I'm working on is set in the Regent's Park Open Air Theatre, which is a lovely setting. Because I remember Mum did a season there. And I think I was about 12 maybe when Mum did the summer season there, and it was really quite magical there, and I really remember it.
Do you think it will encourage children to go sort of backstage, or to, because you describe it really well in terms of, there are more jobs in acting than just acting. Do you know what I mean?
You know what? And that's brilliant. And I always say that to my kids, that when I was talking about, describing it, I genuinely, I never wanted to go on the stage. I wanted to do all of the jobs backstage, all of them. I just thought they were all brilliant. At one point I wanted to be a costume designer. One minute I wanted to be a lighting designer, because I'd sit there and I'd watch all these lights and how they worked, and creating. And of course, in some of the bigger venues, it was amazing. And the sound guys, and when the sound was right, everyone was so happy when you get it right. And and like some of these venues were difficult, and you had to really know your job to get that right, depending on what it is that you're trying to project. And then, but on the other side as well, I would still love to be a cameraman. I still think
like me as a cameraman.
I really love to watch. I love to go to the studios when we went down, because often I get picked up on a Friday night from school, and then we'd go down to the studios, the BBC studios, and watch the inside bits of Heidi High being filmed. So I would, and that was really fun, because it's like going to the theatre for the night, but live, and it was all like, and then they'd stop, but you'd seen that all come together as well. I just thought I loved it, and like I say, now I still love to sit and watch the technical side and green screening and all that, and how they do all of this and bring it all together. I hope so. I hope that if that gives that insight, if the books can give an insight to the other side, and the skills that are needed, and the joy that I think a lot of people have, from the creativity as well that goes on back. I think about the time I was at the Lyceum, which is where The Lion King is on now, and I left actually I left the Lyceum just as The Lion King was coming in, so I saw we had quite a bit of time. We had to do quite a bit of work to the auditorium there. And but you know, you think about how simple it looks, but it's not. It's so
they make it look easy.
Yeah, and it was beautiful. You know, that's a really fabulous production. So you kind of, you know, but there's and lots of things like that, and watching like hydraulics work in the staging and how they make things evolve. And yeah, I loved all that. And so I've got more of that to come in the books, you know.